Camden banned new subdivisions outright. Kershaw County started rationing building permits, and it now posts the leftovers online every Monday morning. Lancaster County froze new construction across the Indian Land Panhandle and extended the freeze again this July. And South Carolina is still the fastest growing state in America, close to 80,000 new residents in a single year. But take the state's births and subtract its deaths, and South Carolina only came out 564 people ahead. Everybody else drove in. These are 12 South Carolina towns, counted down by how far past their own infrastructure they've run, and number 1 explains the other 11. Number 12 is Camden. Live oaks hang over the brick storefronts downtown, and the historic markers go back to the Revolution. For years, this was a town that issued about 30 building permits annually. Then the census caught it, adding 436 people in 12 months, the 10th fastest growth rate in the state, and Camden issued 220 permits in a single year. A barbershop owner named Champ Champion argued the other side of it, and he wasn't wrong. They can't keep it the same old city that it used to be, he said. It has to grow. If it's not growing, it's going to die. The council disagreed. In September of 2024, it banned new residential subdivisions outright, then extended the ban another 6 months in March. Permits fell back to 122. One development that arrived asking for 800 houses left with permission for 45, and the developer is suing the city in federal and state court. Then Kershaw County went further than the town did. This May, it started rationing residential building permits, and it now publishes a permit allotment tracker that updates every Monday, so anybody can see how many houses the county has left to give. One thing, and then it won't come up again. The research behind this channel is written down in a guide and a calculator called the South Carolina Reality Check, over at the link below. If you want it, it's there, and that's all I'll say about it. Number 11 is Greer. Greer had about 35,000 residents in 2020. By July of 2025, it had just over 50,000, and it added more people in that 1 year than any other city in South Carolina. Among cities its size, that's the 17th fastest growth rate in the country. The BMW plant sits on one side of town and the inland port on the other, and the trucks run through around the clock. Greer has annexed its way from 6 square miles in the early 90s to more than 28 today, and its sewage plant, rated at 5 million gallons a day, is being stretched to 7.5. Mayor Rick Danner says the city's poised for new growth for some time to come, and he thinks Greer can accommodate that very easily. A few paragraphs down the same article, a resident named Leland Birch, whose family owned the local paper for 60 years, said what was a simple life is now much more complex. But the number that ought to stop you is in the school district. Greenville County has added more than 57,000 people since 2020. Over the same stretch, its schools lost 1,500 students, and the district's projecting another drop after that. Its planning director said they're not losing students, the new ones just stopped arriving. And one reason the district gave, on the record, was dramatic growth in the county's 55 and over population. If you are over 55 and you move to South Carolina, that school district is describing you. Number 10 is Lexington. Lexington County is the only place in South Carolina that will legally refuse to let you build because the schools are full. Propose a development in an attendance zone already over 95% capacity, and the county can turn it down. It used that rule to kill 83 townhomes. Then council voted to scrap the rule, thought better of it, and put it back 6-3. Planners call that concurrency, and there's a bill sitting in Columbia that would let every county in South Carolina do the same thing. The head of the State Home Builders Association, a man named Mark Nix, calls that bill basically extortion. Hold on to it. It comes back at the end of this list. Meanwhile, Lexington has the worst road in the Midlands running through it. Anybody who drives the Midlands knows the interchange, where 3 interstates try to occupy the same square mile, and locals have called it malfunctioned junction for decades. The rebuild is the biggest project the State Transportation Department has ever attempted. Just over $2 billion, 14 miles of highway carrying 134,000 vehicles a day. Drivers there lose an average of 112 hours a year sitting still, and the last phases won't finish until 2029. Number 9 is Blythewood. 15 years ago, this was a 2,000-person crossroads north of Columbia, a water tower and a stretch of two-lane road. Today it's past 7,000, up 52% since 2020, and a $2 billion Scout Motors plant is going up on 1,100 acres at the edge of town. 4,000 workers, 200,000 vehicles a year, and more than 700 robots already installed in the body shop. The new interchange on Interstate 77 is a $200 million job on its own, and Columbia approved $69 million in sewer upgrades just to get ready. Blythewood Road already carries between 13,000 and 16,000 vehicles a day. One resident told a town meeting in June they're literally like ants trying to get out of Blythewood in the morning. Now watch where Blythewood actually sits in the order of things. A 255-home development straddles the town line, 218 acres, and only about 60 of them are inside the town. Richland County Council approved its share 10-1 on the 19th of May. The town held its own hearing on the 26th. The county voted a full week before the town at Borders got to speak. Councilmember Trish Hovis said the long-term consequences of inadequate planning are borne by taxpayers and residents through overcrowded roads and schools. Mayor Sloan Griffin said change is sometimes very uncomfortable, as we can all relate to. Number 8 is Moncks Corner. Cypress and black water on one side of the highway, survey stakes, and new roof lines on the other. Moncks Corner had 13,300 residents in 2020. By July of 2025, it had 20,600, up 55% in 5 years, and 11.5% in the last 12 months alone. Mayor Thomas Hamilton says the town has been refusing houses the whole time. In his 3 years, he says, Moncks Corner approved 80 homes and turned away 1,100. 14 refused for everyone allowed, and it still grew by a third. So the town started charging for the ones it does allow. In May of 2025, Council adopted impact fees unanimously, $4,805 on every new single-family home. The public hearing held right before that vote, in the third fastest growing town in South Carolina, drew 0 speakers. The town's development director laid out the arithmetic at a later meeting. For every so many homes, he said, we have to provide so many police officers. Property taxes on the houses don't cover that, and they don't cover the residents already there either, which is why every new subdivision now has to arrive carrying shops and ball fields with it. Moncks Corner doesn't have Lexington's rule. It can't refuse on infrastructure, so it charges instead. Last April, the town approved 2 more on Highway 52, nearly 400 homes, 75,000 square feet of commercial, 6 pickleball courts, and 2 baseball fields, all of it at the developer's expense. Moncks Corner can at least make somebody else pay. The next town on this list sends the bill to the people who were already there. Number 7 is Bluffton. In the year 2000, Bluffton had 1,275 residents. It has 36,800 now. When Bluffton incorporated back in 1852, it covered roughly 1 square mile, and it covers about 52 today, almost all of that annexed from the county around it. Spanish moss over the May River, shrimp boats at the landing, one of the prettiest old town centers on the coast, wrapped in 50 square miles of subdivision. Pritchardville Elementary is running at 141% of capacity, with 18 mobile classrooms parked outside, and the school built to relieve, it doesn't open until 2027. The district's operations chief put it this way: even at 100% capacity, he said, That's never good because it means there's no room to grow and every class is jammed. Then there's the water bill. The Regional Water Authority needs more than $600 million over 5 years because more than 53,000 homes are already approved south of the Broad River. The average residential bill goes from about $145 a month to $171 by the summer of 2027. And this July, the authority more than doubled what it charges a builder to connect one new house to water and sewer. It was $6,880. It's now just over $15,000. The people already on that system are paying right now for houses that haven't been built yet. No city in South Carolina grew faster in a single year than a Spartanburg County mill town most people only ever drive past. Number 6 is Woodruff. Woodruff has a main street, a water tower, and a high school football field. The mills went away in the 60s and 70s, and the town spent 50 years quiet. Then BMW put a $700 million battery plant nearby, and Woodruff grew almost 17% in 12 months and 40% since 2020. An associate pastor in town named Daniel Godfrey described the mood better than any statistic could. He hears people talking about all the new people coming, he said, and the common frustration is that they only have one grocery store, which raises an awkward question for a town of 6,000 people. Who pays for the sewer plant? Woodruff found an answer nobody else has. The city took $8.8 million, and the local water district took another $6.9 million, roughly $16 million between them, out of a federal disaster relief program. They qualified because of Hurricane Helene. So the fastest growing city in South Carolina is expanding its wastewater plant with hurricane money. And the city manager said the point of doing it that way was that Woodruff never had to borrow. The schools were harder. Woodruff's district asked voters for $100 million to replace a high school built for 825 students with one built for 1,500. It passed 955 to 830, a margin of 125 votes. Number 5 is Conway. The Waccamaw curls around Conway through Cypress Knees and Blackwater Swamp, and the old Riverwalk downtown is lovely right up until the water comes over it. Conway's grown 22% since 2020. Flood stage here is 11 feet. Matthew crested the river at almost 18 feet in 2016 and damaged 1,100 homes. Florence crested it at 21 feet in September of 2018. And in August of 2025, with no storm anywhere in the water, the Waccamaw was already sitting at 12.3 feet. The county's emergency director said all it would take is another Florence-type storm that slows down and dumps a lot of rain. The city administrator said, "Knock on wood, no hurricanes hit us while we're at this stage." So Conway has been buying the flooded houses and taking them off the map. It's rezoning them into permanent conservation land so nobody can ever build there again, in batches, another 27 acres this May, and it's now looking at grazing goats on the empty lots because mowing them eats too much staff time. Goats on the ground where the neighborhood used to be. 4 miles from there, the same city council unanimously annexed 1,700 acres at Pitch Landing Road for roughly 3,300 new homes. Pitch Landing is one of the places officials list by name when the river rises. Councilman William Goldfinch explained that vote in one sentence. "The reality is," he said, "if we say no to this project, it's going to happen anyway in the county." Number 4 is Cane Bay Plantation. 20 years ago, this was pine timber and dirt roads in the middle of Berkeley County. Cane Bay holds more than 13,000 residents now, and full build-out runs past 15,000 homes. The main road in carried 2,500 vehicles a day in 2019. By 2024, the state was counting 10,600 on it. And for more than a decade, that was the only road in or out. One entrance, one exit for thousands of families. During Hurricane Matthew in 2016, 18 to 24 inches of standing water sat across that single exit, and hundreds of residents couldn't leave. The elementary school hit 162% of capacity. The district's answer wasn't a portable classroom. It was a hard enrollment cap, a time-stamped waiting list, and school buses that collect the overflow children from designated pickup points and carry them out of Cane Bay to a different school. The wastewater plant serving the area hit maximum capacity, and the county had to engineer a whole diversion project around it. In May of 2026, the county was asked to approve 5,500 more homes on 2,000 acres next door. One resident told the commission the traffic is unreal and the area can't take it. The commission deferred that vote rather than refusing it. The next place on this list doesn't have a mayor at all. Number 3 is Carolina Forest. This is where the story stops being about growth. Carolina Forest is 61 subdivisions across more than 10,000 acres of old Horry County pine land outside Myrtle Beach, holding somewhere near 35,000 people and projected towards 60,000 by 2030, which would make it about twice the size of Myrtle Beach. 35,000 people, and not one of them has a mayor to call. There's no town council and no city police department. Every zoning decision and every subdivision approval is made by Horry County Council. And as one state senator put it, the councilman from Aner or North Myrtle Beach or Surfside is voting on your land use issues in your community, and it might not go your way. So watch what that does to a school district. River Oaks Elementary hit 160% of capacity. 2 new schools, Pine Island and Ten Oaks, were built to relieve it. They opened in August of 2025 with more than 800 students each. 2,400 seats built, 1,600 of them filled before the first bell. Carolina Forest High was built for 2,388 students and is projected at 2,825 this coming year, 437 over. The district's answer is to stagger the bodies, so seniors doing well enough get early dismissal or late arrival because there's no building. Then the community actually won one, and watch what happened next. In 2023, County Council voted 11-0 to reject a Postal Way development of more than 1,600 homes. The councilman for the district said he had to side with his constituents despite the fact that he thought it was a good idea. That should have been the end of it. That same night, the developers had already started applying to be annexed into the city of Conway instead. Conway spent the next year annexing a chain of parcels to reach the land. Horry County answered by drawing a nearly 1,000-acre tax district across the developer's path, so Conway could never collect property taxes there. Conway's administrator called that weaponizing a business park and hired outside lawyers. 3 governments have fought over that ground for 3 years, and nobody who lives in Carolina Forest has voted on any of it. Residents have been talking about incorporating since 2017. A petition has never been filed. Number 2 is Hardeeville. For 50 years, most South Carolinians knew Hardeeville as the place on Interstate 95 where you slowed down. Gas stations, a couple of motels, a speed limit that dropped fast. In 2010, it had under 3,000 residents. By July of 2025, it had 16,459, up almost 120% in 5 years and 16% in the last year alone. Hardeeville sits in Jasper County, which the census just named the fastest growing county in the entire United States, and which also led the country in housing growth. Now the number, and it comes from the city's own residential pipeline report. Hardeeville has signed development agreements permitting 49,258 homes. It's issued about 9,000 building permits. Roughly 40,000 approved houses have not been built yet, in a town of 16,000 people, and permits are going out at about 120 a month. The old speed trap on the interstate now has a median home value near $489,000, higher than Myrtle Beach. Two enormous retirement communities push the average age here to almost 60, and the city's own plan is to cut that average by 20 years by filling the town with young families. The retirees who moved to Hardeeville to get away from all this are about to be outnumbered by it. Then in February of 2026, the state's own infrastructure bank refused to keep funding. The Interstate 95 interchange meant to carry all of it. The project had gone from an $82 million estimate to bids over $150 million, with something like $90 to $100 million already committed. The bank's chairman said the bank does not want to fund an interchange to nowhere. He was describing the fastest growing county in America. Number one is Indian Land. The Lancaster County Panhandle is the thin strip of South Carolina hanging up into the Charlotte suburbs, cut off from the rest of its own county by the Catawba River. Its population has grown almost sixfold since 2000. County records show 18 approved developments carrying nearly 7,500 lots. There's no city of Indian Land, and there never has been. And Lancaster County did everything a county is supposed to do. It adopted impact fees back in 2021, including a school impact fee aimed at Indian Land. In 2016, it deliberately rewrote its land rules to concentrate growth in the Panhandle instead of spreading it across the county. That worked. It worked far better than anyone intended. Then every attempt to pay for it lost. In 2024, the county asked for a $588 million school bond, the largest it had ever requested. It failed 60 to 40 on turnout above 79%. Now look at where the yes votes came from. According to the Herald's analysis of the precinct results, the only precincts that approved that bond were the 5 northernmost ones, the Panhandle itself. All 31 precincts south of the Catawba voted it down. The people living inside the growth voted to pay for it and got outvoted by a county on the other side of a river. 19 months later, the school board chairman told his own board what he keeps hearing from up there. Teachers with 28 kids in a classroom paid the same as teachers somewhere else in the county with 8 or 12. That was the first vote they lost. There were 2 more coming. A year after the bond, Lancaster asked for a penny sales tax for roads, $253 million. Voters rejected it 67 to 32. They had already turned down a bigger version the year before, and the smaller ask lost by a wider margin. On its own money, Lancaster can afford under 4 miles of new road a year. Widening Highway 521 alone is 7 miles. This June, the county raised property taxes by $1 million, about $8 a year on a $200,000 home, and spent it on fire trucks, jail staffing, and ambulances. Not one road. And on the 20th of July this year, the county council extended its freeze on new homes in Indian Land another 90 days. In the same session, it rezoned 71 more acres of Indian Land over residents' objections, 4 votes to 2, with the chairman on the call, but disconnected when the vote came. That's 12 South Carolina towns absorbing the fastest growth in the country. And the developers are not the reason it's spiraling. Almost nobody in South Carolina has the legal room to stop them. Remember that bill from Lexington? The one that would let every county in the state refuse a development when the infrastructure isn't there. It was amended on the Senate floor at the end of April, corrected in May, and then the session ended before anyone voted on it a third time. It's never reached the House. And read the clause, because this is the whole story in one line. Even where a county proves the roads and the schools can't take it, that county can't say no if the developer agrees to pay a proportionate share. Meanwhile, the state maintains around 41,000 of South Carolina's 60,000 public road miles, the 4th largest state highway system in America, funded by a gas tax that ranks 30th out of 50. The Transportation Department published what that means in its own annual report. In 2017, 1 penny of the gas tax bought 114 miles of 2-lane resurfacing. By 2024, it bought 27. The state transportation secretary said in March that it now takes an hour to drive across Greenville, and the old joke about that stopped being a joke. One last number: 34 of South Carolina's 46 counties buried more people last year than they delivered. Horry County, home to Myrtle Beach, buried 1,800 more than it delivered. This state is not growing because South Carolinians are having children. It's growing because people keep arriving, and most of them are old enough to remember when these roads were empty. Tell me in the comments which South Carolina town you've watched change the most, and whether your county has voted for or against paying for it. And if you want the towns the growth skipped entirely, that video's on the screen right now.